if someone has seen my artwork for Neurosis and they go to Suspended in Light, and the first thing they see is like some Disney shit, they're like, "What the fuck is this?" And likewise, like if a motion design firm is like, like we're working on Disney, like we want to hire you, like what the fuck is I Hate God?
So we were speaking a little bit about some of the video work that you do and some of the visual art that you do. I have messed around with Cinema 4D a little bit. I I like it. I like being able to make like short weird animations without the need for a set or actors or anything like that.
Yeah.
Just create a camera, create an environment, and go nuts with the lighting and stuff like that.
Yeah, yeah. It's definitely like a lot of fun. I've been using it since 2000, I guess, which is insane. And it's actually like even on like the Neurosis Sun That Never Sets DVD, there's like Cinema 4D on that quite a bit actually.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a great tool like to be able to use and actually like, maneuver through spaces and create scenes and like that kind of stuff.
Which came first for you? Were you doing art and design before you were doing music, or did they kind of come at the same time?
About the same time, I think like actually Dan, plays guitar in Guiltless, we started a band. Our first band was when we were 15 in Phoenix, and like I started making all the flyers for those, and we did actually pretty well with that band. We had it until we were like 21, I think, and then had some other bands in Phoenix, and like was doing started doing visuals, like editing with VCRs and getting like people from we worked at a record store to bring their televisions to the stage, and like we would hook them all up on the stage and run videos through them. And so it's been like kind of synonymous. I stopped playing music for like about 3 years to sort of focus like solely on design. Actually, maybe like 4 years, from like 98 to like 2002 or something like that. And that was like working for design firms in Los Angeles and like working 15 or more hours a day all the time, just like basically learn everything I could really. And then started kind of like wanting to play again in LA, and that's kind of like right about the time that actually like I had already been working with like Neurosis, like doing like visuals and stuff like that. And then ISIS moved to LA, and Jeff Kashid and I started what turned into Red Sparrows there. So yeah, so long answer. I guess it's kind of been pretty simultaneous, but like it's definitely compartmentalized because I do a lot of motion design work for like major companies like I don't know, like IBM or Disney or like whatever, and then I do music design for like all like everything from like super small indie bands to like Ringo Starr, just super weird. And then yeah, then I just play metal. So like I don't know, it's cool. It's been an interesting ride so far.
Yeah. I'm curious because there was a period in my life when, half of my portfolio was this really kind of boring corporate print design work, and then the other half was like artwork for metal bands.
Yeah,
And at a certain point, I had to separate the two and be like, all right, I'm this guy if you want album artwork, and the record labels and the bands are only going to see this stuff, but I'm also this guy, to pay the rent. Have you had to compartmentalize your work that way?
it's compartmentalized to a certain extent, but like they're both suspended in light, and both if you go to suspendedinlight.com, like that's actually like that is my music portfolio, but there's also links on there to go to my motion design portfolio, which clicks over to studio.suspendedinlight.com. I like there's some projects like for like I Hate God or whatever like that I don't have on there on my music site for that reason, because I was talking to some people at NBC Sports, and and she had gone through like the music site, so and she liked it. So, but like that was like, all right, like I'm compartmentalizing to like some degree of like stuff that will just be like immediately offensive, like if you don't have any idea what it is.
Right. Yeah.
But I think like, I mean, m most of my work is like fairly design oriented, even like I'm not super worried about it.
Yeah.
It's it's and it's been like an internal dialogue like for the last year. I'm like I actually separated it out on my website only about 6 months ago, so it's definitely better. I think it hurts in both ways because if someone has seen my artwork for Neurosis and they go to Suspended in Light, and the first thing they see is like some Disney shit, they're like, "What the fuck is this guy?" And likewise, like if a motion design firm is like, like we're working on Disney, like we want to hire you, like what the fuck is I Hate God, So like it's like
Yeah.
I don't know. I feel like I was kind of getting like neurotic about it and like figuring out if I needed to like completely separate all my stuff out, but I don't know. I've been doing both for so long, like I don't think it's that big of a deal. I think you got to be who you are, I think, at a certain point.
But I also think even at the corporate level, the people on the marketing side or art directors or whoever are maybe a little bit more hip than they were 20 years ago. So when you say something like Neurosis, like I think people perk up. They're like, oh yeah, I know those guys. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, my experience has been actually like a good friend of mine plays in All Pigs Must Die. He's been freelancing at like one of the major tech companies for like a couple years, and like we were just talking about this, but and he works actually with another guy that works there that was in Earth Crisis, which is amazing. And like, yeah, it's like a weird, like I haven't had that many boss level people know like about the bands, but a good friend of mine who's he's like a major creative director of motion design, and like we were talking about it, and he's like, no way, man. Like, because I was like a little concerned about, yeah, compartmentalizing it. And he's like, no way, man. He's like, even if people don't know like what the stuff is, like they're definitely jealous. Like they're gonna look and see like all these cool records and like because like a large part of motion design can be like pretty sterile. Like I've been fortunate in like the last year to like work on some pretty cool stuff, and but it's hard at like being freelance. Like you kind of I and like coming out of the pandemic, I basically just take everything I can get, and I think and it's good. It's like lucrative, but it's and the strikes actually. So like, but you kind of just like don't really know. You're like just take all the work I can.
It's interesting when I work with clients. I'll usually, and this is more on the print side because you can't really do like three different versions of like motion design piece. But for print design, I'd usually submit three ideas. One what I think they want, one that's a little bit more conservative, and one that's just for me. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And no matter like how hip or like art centric or because I was doing a lot of work for a literary agency, and those are not conservative in the traditional sense. You know what I mean? Like maybe, but so I think some of their visual aesthetic was still kind of rooted in older 70s 80s kind of aesthetics, and they would usually go for the more conservative thing. But there was a weird kind of fondness for punk rock stencil cut and paste art.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Well, like the ray gun guys, Chris. It's like those two guys. The main guy. Yeah, I don't. Ray gun has like a. Do you remember that magazine at all? Or
A little bit. I think I may have seen it in college.
it's awesome. But that was a lot of the kind of like found typography and like cut paste Xerox, like that kind of stuff. It's like very cool.
Yeah. As far as your work with bands, because I'm sure you're a known quantity in the music world as far as like indie bands and stuff like that. Are there specific labels that you do a lot of work for?
I mean, I do like a fair amount for Neurot, but that's mostly for Neurosis, and then I do a lot of stuff for Universal. I wish I was doing like more independent stuff. I think like I work with kind of like just bands like randomly, like independent bands. It's been like I actually I sort of I stepped away from motion design for a while and was like just focusing on music design, and it kind of became like more of a whereas like before when I was doing motion design and like touring all the time and like I only had time to do music projects that I liked, like that I was like really feeling. And but then when I switched like completely to music design, like it became like more about making a living and like just doing everything you can get. And then so now that I've gone back into motion design, I'm still working on music stuff, but I'm trying to like limit it to stuff going back to like kind of my previous thing where like smaller bands, like stuff I'm like really like into. But I think my even my music website like right now is like I think a lot of smaller bands probably think that like I'm gonna be too much money because there is stuff like Ringo Starr on there, you know. It's like it's interesting. It's weird. It's been a weird trajectory.
As far as the projections that you're doing for bands, because I remember there was a period, it, there were a lot of like old like prog and psychedelic bands that were doing projections back in the day, but I think because of Neurosis, when I was going to shows, I saw a lot of bands setting up projectors and having a visual accompaniment to their music, and I never really thought about like what it meant to sync the visuals up to the performance. Was there a learning curve for you to figure all that stuff out?
It, I think the learning curve was more on like the actual like kind of execution for my own bands. Whereas like initially it was like we put it on a DVD and like it had like four flashes and like we would start the computer when we saw the fourth flash and like and then just we would play the set and like hope that we didn't break a string. But like with Neurosis, since I was like running everything like from the start, I mean the learning curve was basically just kind of like the different mediums that we were going to like through. Like when I first started, it was all we had like VHS and we had like mini DVs and we had like a camera on like an oscilloscope and then we had like a pretty lo-fi video mixer. And then I went to DVDs and then figured out that you have to have padding under the DVD players because the DVDs will vibrate during a very
Right.
loud show. And then it went to a computer, to a laptop, to running it off the laptop. And then when we toured, when the Storm of Light toured with Sleep, I was doing projections for Sleep and running it off the laptop. And that was cool. It's not like the 90s Neurosis, which is like all film. And that's basically where Godspeed You Black Emperor got that idea from, was like with all the film loops and everything was from Neurosis. So like that it looks fucking fantastic. And Godspeed actually invited Neurosis to play All Tomorrow's Parties in England, and we went. And I think I had the laptops by then, and it was rather emasculating sitting next to the film guy. It was just like, but I don't know. I mean, at the end of the day, I think it's more about the content and like it. It's interesting. I don't know, and I've done projections in like content for Jay-Z and like Drake and in the stadiums, like working like 20 hours overnight and then like showing the content to those guys, and then they're like yay or nay, and then like it's either in the show or it's out, and it's like just kind of complete chaos. So I think there's like a well like a always like a you're always like learning stuff, but it's like every situation is like completely unique. Like even when I did projections for Soundgarden, they also I was not going to go on tour with them. I was too busy, and I like after like Neurosis stopped having projections, like I really was like not interested in touring in that capacity. So they wanted projections, but they will not play to a click, which is fine. So I went to actually Las Vegas for a week and sat with a great programmer, and we basically programmed all the clips and loops that I had made to fit on every part of these songs that would loop is so they could stretch out one part of a song for like 5 minutes and would just loop, but it was all tied to the lighting cues. So they didn't even have to hire like a video person. We just tied it into the light cue. So when the light guy hit his cue for the chorus of like Super Unknown, like it would play my visuals along with his lights. So that was pretty cool. Like, so yeah, you're always learning for sure.
When I saw Storm of Light, there was a shark video. How much of the visuals that you use are interpretations of lyrics, and how much of it is just a feeling, like tying it into a feeling that you get from the music?
It definitely changes with every album. If it was the Shark, that was probably our first record. And that record actually had like kind of like a linear story like through the lyrics. So the visuals kind of like loosely played into like that story. Later records like Nations of Flames or Anthracene were more kind of like visceral, where it's like emoting like just a feeling, or like this is going to be chaos, or like this is going to be like mesmerizing or something like that, like where you're I don't know, yeah, like visuals can be like really really effective, but I feel like a lot of the times with like large artists and who are renting gear, and the content is being made by the company that rents the gear, and like no one gives a shit like what's on the stage, and you're just like why the fuck is there paisleys like dancing around like during this part, like,
Yeah.
and then it becomes like this just completely like disconnected like eye candy, where I guess like you're just kind of appealing to like the human like modern stream of consciousness, like rather than like actually trying to connect with the music itself and create something that like really like links and syncs and like pushes like the feeling of that music or that part. I think like Nine Inch Nails is probably the biggest band that like fully does that like 100%, like where it's like the top of the game. It's like very very well thought out and executed, and a shit ton of money.
What's something that you wish you knew about creating the visuals for live performances when you first started?
Oh, I think that kind of that idea of being like a little more loose and trying to like identify how to connect with the song in a way that works like twofold, where the people that are watching the visuals like can really connect to it without kind of distracting from the live performance, and then for the people that don't give a shit about the visuals, because there are many, that it's not like distracting enough to like just be like this annoyance, I think.
I mean, there are people who go to shows who don't even care about the music.
Oh yeah.
Sometimes I'm like, why are you here?
Yeah, it's weird. Like I, in Europe a lot, like there would be people like kind of like people, the people in the front like would just have their eyes closed, which is cool. I mean, that's like that. Then you don't need visuals. It's kind of like it's a weird. They can be good or bad, but I think it's all about like taste, I guess. I don't know. It's just kind of like
I'm curious if you have any advice for anyone who wants to break into motion graphics or do video professionally.
I think there. I mean, there's a few routes. Like as crazy as it sounds, like being in like Los Angeles, or like actually really like kind of Los Angeles is like a major place to be able to grow in a way that, like, if you've already gone to school, or you like for design, or you haven't yet, or it's LA is like it's a weird place where, well, I mean, I know that the fires are changing a lot of that, like, but like historically it was like substantially more affordable than New York. It's so big, and like so many people like go out all the time, that it's very easy to like meet people that are like your age, and that like have your interests, and that have access to like cameras, or have experience, or have a friend that like does costume design or whatever. Like you can build like a infrastructure of like-minded people pretty easily in a place like that, and like you can get a shitload done, where people are like all kind of building for their portfolios or their future careers to like grow together, essentially. Shooting in New York is harder because it's much more expensive. It's like permits are insane. Like it's an interesting kind of balance. But I would say, I mean, you could probably go to film school wherever is affordable, but I would try to say that LA might be like the best place to like grow your skills. If I mean, other than that, like some kind of like if there's a smaller kind of like film community somewhere that you can get into, it's really just about the infrastructure. Like, right, my wife and I left Brooklyn in 2011, and like we've lived in these like kind of like small like arty towns, but there's not a lot of infrastructure. So like I'm not doing as many videos because like I don't really know anyone out. Like we live outside of Seattle now. I don't know anyone that does makeup or wardrobe like that I can just call. Like I had those people
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
like in New York and LA, like I had crews of people, and you can just do shit like, and that music videos, when I first started directing, like the big ones were like $1 million, and like the medium ones are like 500,000 to 250, and like I was directing stuff, like the small stuff was like 10 to like 75,000, and then up to like 90,000. And now like, I mean, like videos are like $500 or like 2,000 or $4,000. And it's just like, dude, like, then we even, my wife helped me do two videos for Cold Chamber. And like when we were in New York, and it was just like an experiment, it was like $10,000 for two. And this is after like I've kind of quit directing music videos at that point, for budget reasons, really. And I was like, well, I'm just gonna try these two videos and like go like where we're doing everything, like we're making the craft services and like in it. I finished them and I was like, nope, not not fucking worth it at all. So, but I did, like I just shot a video for Steve on Till like for its upcoming and like we were in Idaho and we got a stage and stuff and it's super low budget, but like it's a cool idea. So like I think it'll be compelling and it'll feel like it'll be like this really nice, well shot piece. And sometimes you can do that. Like you can just like some of the best ideas are super cheap ones. And I think that's great. I think it's a hard balance for sure to find
Yeah.
that.
I mean, I was doing guerrilla style videos for social media, and one of the things that I liked about it is, it's kind of cliche to describe things as punk rock, but there was something about like that aesthetic of like, just releasing a garage recording or something like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Where there wasn't a lot of overhead. We didn't have the best equipment, and we were just winging it. But we got something done, and we were able to put it out a day later or 2 days later. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's kind of what I like about as cynical as I am about social media and YouTube and the culture, the influences and all this stuff that goes around it. I think there's a lot of opportunity for, creative people to just, to make something and put it out there, and for other people to, to build an audience and find people who enjoy your work.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. It is like a it's yeah, it's interesting. Like you can like it used to be like all about like spending like the big bucks on this like really pointed like video that would get like X amount of views and like work like that. And now it's like everybody's just like kind of like scrambling to like make enough content to like fill up everything like all the time. You know, like I'm doing it. It's like a job, like doing social media for even for Guiltless. It's just like it's way more stuff than I like want to make, but like that's just what it takes. Like Steve and I were talking about, it's like you used to go like hang flyers or like put flyers on like music stores and stuff, and like now it's digital shit on Instagram, and that's cool. Like it's like mediums to for experimentation and like short filmmaking and like yeah, it's cool. There's good and bad with all of it for sure.
And so, if there are any labels or artists listening to this who want to get in touch with you, what's the best way to do that? As specific to your visual work.
Through suspendedinlight.com.
Very cool. Thank you so much for your time, Josh. You've been
Yeah.
been extremely generous.